Chat, we're back with more gaming news. It's been a couple weeks, so we're gonna try to catch up a little bit. There's a lot. There was a lot 2 weeks ago. Not as much last week, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through all the big stuff for the past couple weeks, and then we'll just like slowly catch up. We'll go through the small stuff next time, which is later this week, and the chat picks as well. So today we're just gonna go through the big stuff for the last couple weeks, and there was a dev dub. First up, the big thing that's kind of old news now. Highguard is officially shut down. Andy Robinson VGC, 3 months after closing the Game Awards, Highguard is officially shutting down. Launched on January 26th following its bold announcement at the Game Awards, the final announcement at the Game Awards. They closed the whole show with it. Despite initially reaching millions of players, according to its developer, player numbers quickly plummeted and Wildlight laid off most of its development team the following month. Real rough. We talked about it in the last time we did news, how it wasn't looking good, and then immediately after that, well, California-based studio has confirmed that Highguard will shut down entirely on March 12th, which was 3 days ago as of this stream/recording. So it is officially gone, which is unfortunate because they did do some pretty decent tweaks towards the end, in my opinion. They said, today we're sharing the difficult news. We have made the decision to permanently shut down Highguard on March 12th. Since launch, more than 2 million players stepped into Highguard's world. You shared feedback, created content, and many believed in what we were building. For that, we are deeply grateful. Despite the passion and hard work of our team, we've not been able to build a sustainable player base to support the game long term. Servers will remain online until March 12th, which is past. We hope you'll jump in with us one more time to show your support and get those final great matches in while we still can. Unfortunately, we didn't get to jump in again, which we wanted to, but we just didn't. We just couldn't get it. We just couldn't get the time in to jump in, which is kind of lame because we did want to play a little bit more. Again, they launched 3v3, very sweaty. They had ranked already in there, which was kind of rough. Then there was it was 5v5, I think. 5v5's miles better. A different game, a much more playable, a much more friendly game. But even then, like, there's a lot of it that they don't explain. A lot of mechanics that they don't explain. It took a few full games to actually get the hang of it, even with the larger team. But it was much better after that, and then they launched a rush mode or whatever it was, where it's more fighting, which I don't think was the issue. I think the issue at the beginning was, or launching with the 3v3 by itself was kind of a misstep there. We've said it before, just make it so that there's more people in a lobby to play together. The fact that we could only do 3v3 and there was no custom games that we could do, because custom 5v5 would have been sick. Would have been sick. We had tons of friends, like when we do our Apex F rounds, which we should do again soon. Anyway, well, RIP Highguard, RIP the studio. It really is unfortunate that all these people got canned as a result of not great decisions, right? Not great decisions. Next up, a little update on the overall industry in Japan. Chris Kelly and VGC, despite the lack of mass layoffs in Japan, game developers say their numbers are still reducing in a less visible manner. While the games industry has seen countless cases of mass layoffs across the West for the past few years, there have been significantly fewer examples of this happening in Japan, leading to speculation as to why things are so different there. Sega producer Taira Nakamura posted his views on the situation on Twitter, suggesting that mass layoffs aren't as widespread in the Japanese games industry because Japanese employment law makes it harder for companies to carry them out. Instead, Nakamura says companies have been reducing costs by hiring fewer new staff. Interesting. Very interesting. He says, I think one reason why Japanese companies, even when facing similar cost pressures, appear to have fewer visible layoffs is due to Japan's employment regulations. However, difficulty in letting staff go simply transforms into not hiring in the first place. New graduate hire quotas are shrinking, and the door for mid-career hire is narrowing. An era may come when it's even harder to get into a game company in Japan than it is now. Japan also loves to do the thing where instead of firing people, they'll reduce their responsibilities. Someone will be in charge of just like sitting in a room doing nothing until they decide to quit. So they basically like pressure you into quitting by making your job miserable instead of firing you. So that's very interesting how they're doing it. I think it's a combination of both that's happening here. People are getting laid off in droves, but also they're not hiring a lot, which sucks. So we're getting hit on both sides. Next up, is Tencent a security risk? The government thinks it might be. Andy Robinson, did you see the Trump administration debating whether to allow Tencent to keep its company investments, which is, as of right now, I think the largest gaming company in the world. According to a new report by the FT, which is paywalled, claims that U.S. officials have held meetings to decide whether Tencent's investments in U.S. gaming firms pose a security risk. The world's largest gaming company has invested in more than 800 developers worldwide. Oh my god. 800? There's even that many? Includes stakes in Epic Games, Larian, and Krafton, as well as shares in Ubisoft and many others. It also owns Riot Games and Supercell. Cabinet officials plan to discuss the matter this week, which I think was last week, but postponed the meeting due to scheduling issues. The president is due to meet his Chinese counterpart next month. Tencent was even negotiating measures with the Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. to mitigate Washington's security concerns. If it decided to act, the U.S. government could force Tencent to divest in its stakes in U.S. gaming companies. That rules. That would be kind of I think that would be a W. I think we should not have this monopoly company trying to gobble everything up. Tencent's investments in gaming firms has long been questioned by the U.S. as a potential security risk due to the amount of data that the companies collect on U.S. players. These platforms could serve as a significant intelligence collection source, says Chris McGuire, a former official in Joe Biden's administration who dealt with security issues. So that's a very interesting perspective, right? Because 800 development companies, 800 developers making all these games, and that's a lot of information because everyone's always doing click terms and conditions, don't even read it. And they're collecting all this information. That's actually a very good point. It's a very good point. Something to think about. Something about gamers. Next. PlayStation seems to be ending their PC ports. Chris Culling, VGC. PlayStation's strategy of releasing its single-player games on PC is reportedly stopping. Oh. Bloomberg, citing people familiar with Sony's plans, says the company is pulling back from its plan to release its upcoming games on PC, with future single-player games set to become PS5 exclusives. The report claims that while Ghost of Tsushima eventually got a PC port a few years later after its release on PlayStation consoles, its sequel Ghost of Yotei won't be coming to PC after plans for a port were scrapped in recent weeks. Likewise, the upcoming PS5 exclusive Saros from Returnal Studio Housemarque, set for an April 30th release, also reportedly won't be getting a PC port. The report claims that multiplayer games such as Marathon and Marvel Token will still remain multi-platform, presumably because such games rely on large online communities to succeed. That's true. Death Stranding 2 and Kena Scars of Cosmora will still be getting PC releases. Interesting. Very interesting. Bloomberg source claims that these plans could change in the future as the industry does, but that the current stance is that the upcoming single-player PlayStation games don't have future on PC. While the article doesn't specify why Sony's stance appears to have changed, one possible suggestion is the commonly held belief that Microsoft's next Xbox console will be a PC console hybrid, capable of playing games from other storefronts such as Steam or Epic Games Store. Should this come to pass, the idea of being able to buy PlayStation games on Steam and play them on Xbox hardware may not be something Sony would want to encourage. Interesting perspective. Very interesting perspective, because if the new Xbox can handle Steam, then if your PlayStation games on Steam, you could play PlayStation games on Xbox. Very interesting. Get achievements and trophies at the same time, maybe? Who knows? Just 2 years ago, Sony's PlayStation president and PlayStation chairman Hiroki Totoki said he wanted the company to be aggressive when it comes to improving its gaming division profit margins, something he said could partly be achieved with greater focus on bringing first-party games to PC. But now they're not doing it. And one thing that might be the culprit of the deciding factor in this decision, Andy Robinson VGC, apparently their PC ports have been struggling due to delayed releases, says a research firm. According to a new analysis by research firm Newzoo via GamesIndustry.biz, conducted following this week's report that Sony is allegedly scaling back PC strategy. SIE strategy for releasing games first on PlayStation 5, followed by a PC months later or years later, led to a lower audience on PC compared to games that released on multiple platforms simultaneously. Newzoo's data shows that PlayStation titles ported to PC after their console launch typically see PC account for around 13% of total players in the first 3 months across both releases. By comparison, when comparable AAA titles launch simultaneously on PC and console, PC contributes closer to 44% of players in the same period. That's a big difference. It's a big difference. What's notable is that this pattern is not specific to Sony's first-party portfolio. We see almost no difference between first-party PlayStation titles and third-party PlayStation titles, suggesting the outcome is primarily driven by the staggered release strategy rather than franchise demand on PC. Because that's a great point. When PlayStation does it, it's not right away. It's a very large difference in time. Weeks, months, years later that they release on PC. By then, a lot of the people that would have wanted to play the game have already played it on the console, which is interesting. Looking at individual titles, the earlier wave of PlayStation PC releases captured relatively strong player shares on the platform. Horizon Zero Dawn, 22%. God of War, 14%. Spider-Man, 14%. More recent ports have generally seen smaller PC shares, including Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, 8%. Forbidden West, 7%. Ragnarok, 6%. Spider-Man 2, 5%. Tsushima, 11%. Which is very different from the other ones. There's also something to think about. The fact that maybe PlayStation's trying to protect their next console release, right? They don't want everyone waiting for the PC release of their new games for PS6 or whatever it's going to be, because I'm sure that they see that Xbox for a while now has been doing multiple platform releases at the same time, and also their console numbers are the lowest of the big three. So perhaps they see that scaling back from PC releases will secure their sales in consoles. That's something to think about, right? Very interesting. We won't know for sure until these consoles get released what's going to happen, or if they get released. Next up, we got an update on Build a Rocket Boy. So the Mind's Eye studio announces more layoffs as CEO cites organized espionage and criminal sabotage. Wow. Chris Cullen, VGC. Wow. What's going on here? In a statement on the studio's official LinkedIn page, CEO Mark Gerhardt announced that more staff are being made redundant. Over the past few years, the games industry has gone through one of the most difficult periods in its history. Many talented developers across the world have been affected by layoffs and restructuring. Unfortunately, today we have to share that Build a Rocket Boy is not immune to those pressures. What does he say about the other things? Gerhardt then suggested that one of the main reasons... Why does he keep doing this? One of the main reasons behind Mind's Eye's commercial failure was criminal activity, including espionage and sabotage. He said this out loud on the internet. Over the past months, we've been working with the external partners and legal advisors to investigate the criminal activity that took place around our launch. That work has taken far longer than expected, but it has now resulted in overwhelming evidence of organized sabotage and corporate sabotage affecting Mind's Eye. Because this matter is moving towards prosecution, we cannot share the full details publicly yet. While the investigation has progressed, the team has worked relentlessly to evolve the game and to serve our players. I'm incredibly proud of the dedication and resilience our developers have shown. However, the prolonged impact of the difficult launch means that we still have to take the brutal and heartbreaking step of reducing the size of the studio once again to ensure the long-term future of the company and the projects we continue to build. So, what is this? I'm so curious what this evidence is. What this supposed overwhelming evidence is. Because from what it looked like was they just released a bad game. Like, it was just bad. It's not like you watch people play the game or you play the game and you're like, oh, this is actually really good. Where are all these like negative reviews coming from? These people, it's just like a concerted effort to get bad reviews on the game. But no, the game was just bad. Unless the evidence is centered around the development process where people were deliberately tanking development, maybe that's a different story. But it sounds like big excuses is what it sounds like. It sounds like real big excuses. Hopefully we hear more about this soon. I'm very curious. Next up, Nagoshi is also closing down. Andy Robinson, VGC. Nagoshi Studio reportedly facing closure after NetEase pulls Gang of Dragons funding. We saw this trailer. Was this also at the Game Awards? Yes. So they showed this trailer at the Game Awards. Looked pretty cool. And now it's gone. Maybe forever. The new studio, founded by Yakuza series creator Toshihiro Nagoshi, is reportedly facing closure after publisher NetEase indicated that it will pull funding for its debut title. That's wild. According to Bloomberg, employees of Nagoshi Studio were told on Friday that NetEase intends to cut off funding for Gang of Dragon, which was announced at the Game Awards just 3 months ago this coming May. So Game Awards is batting 1,000 right now. It's, again, very unlucky with their announcements. NetEase allegedly made the decision after discovering that the project needed an additional 7 billion yen, which is 44, I think that's yen, $44.4 million. That's a lot of millions. 44.4 is a lot of millions. In funding to reach completion. Nagoshi is said to be seeking additional funding to continue developing the project, but has had no success so far. Neither NetEase nor Nagoshi Studio has responded to the claims. So this is pretty rough. Game was just announced, hasn't even been released, and it's already being pulled. Oh, that's super rough. And the studio is seemingly might be shutting down, which is just so like annoying to see. That full-on Game Awards announcements are being wrecked. Next up, Arc Raiders has some Discord security issues, which I think they may have fixed already, but they at some point had some fairly major Discord security issues. Okay, let's zoom the F in here. This is Connor McCarr, Eurogamer. Embark Studios rushes to fix Arc Raiders Discord integration bug as serious privacy and security violations may have exposed private Discord DMs, friends data, and more. A potential major security flaw has been discovered in Arc Raiders, according to a security blogger, that could put private Discord's messages, friends list information, and more at risk for players. They informed players it is conducting a deeper audit into the problem. This is as of March 5th, which is 10 days ago. Timothy Meadows, a distributed systems engineer and technical blogger, first published the blog earlier this week, claiming that Arc Raiders is storing private Discord messages, friends list presence data, and Discord bearer authentication tokens in log files. This, he claims, occurs if Discord integration is enabled while playing the extraction shooter. Summarizes his findings as such: during gameplay of Arc Raiders, private Discord DMs between two users were found being written in plain text to a local game log file. That's crazy. Additionally, a full Discord bearer authentication token was found stored in the same log file. These findings represent serious privacy and security violations that affect all players using Discord integration with the game. According to Meadows, Discord DMs between two users, which otherwise would be private, were captured by Arc Raiders Discord SDK. He notes that in his findings, these were written in full to plain text logs stored locally on the user's machines. That's wild. When Discord integration is enabled, it uses the full Discord bearer authentication token to access data. Think of this as an encrypted pass that allows access to specific Discord data. According to Meadows, more information than expected is gathered as part of this process, including private DM messages. He states, rather than filtering sensitive events, the SDK logs everything it receives to disk. If Meadows is correct in his testing, is that private conversations received while the game is running is written to disk. Log files of that data may be included in crash reports or bug reports uploads, and they may be accessible to other applications on the same machine. As a result, third parties with access to the machine or crash reports could read private conversations. That's kind of wild. And wait, did they say they're working on it, right? People are like, this is a pretty big security issue. In a statement posted to the official Arc Raiders Discord server, a hotfix is in the works seemingly in response to these findings. It reads, the team is also working on a hotfix to address an issue where the Discord SDK logged excessive user information. Rest assured that your private and or personal data was not sent outside your machine, and Embark has not and will not review or keep such information. We will disable the Discord SDK logging and are conducting a deeper audit to ensure no further issues. If you have questions or concerns, please contact our support team. So I assume as of now, maybe, it's been fixed, but that's kind of an insane bug that is just capturing everything about your Discord while you have streamer mode on or whatever, the integration. Next up, Ballistic Moon shutting down. This is Chris Scully in VGC. Until Dawn remake studio Ballistic Moon has been shut down. A lot of L's. The studio was founded in 2020 by production director Duncan Kershaw, creative director Neil McEwen, and director Chris Lamb. First major game was the 2024 remake of Supermassive's PS4 horror game Until Dawn. It's been 2 years since that game came out. While the remake was praised for its graphical upgrades and extra scenes, it was also criticized for its performance and the suggestion that its $60 price point didn't offer enough for fans of the original 2015 version, which I agree. Definitely agree. $6, wild. In September 2024, just 1 month before the release of Until Dawn remake, Ballistic Moon announced it was making significant cuts to ensure the studio could survive. As the games industry continues to face complex challenges, we at Ballistic Moon are confronted with some difficult realities. And they said they're scaled down our team, but now appears these cuts weren't enough to keep the studio afloat. And as a result, an application was made in November 2025 to strike Ballistic Moon off the UK company's house register. As spotted by Gaming Bolt, a notice published in the Gazette confirms that the company was struck off the register on January 21st and was dissolved on February 3rd. So it's been gone. And just people are just finding out. So that's insane. Why make the studio to make the one game to then close it? What's the point? What was the point of it? What was the point? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand. Next up, Epic is raising the prices of V-Bucks for all you Fortnite players. Chris Scully and VGC. Epic is increasing the price of Fortnite V-Bucks to help pay the bills. Why do they need help pay the bills with the most successful online shooter in like the history of games? Why did they need help? In a new blog post on the official Fortnite site, the studio announced the cost of running Fortnite has gone up a lot and we're raising prices to help pay the bills. Maybe do less celebrity collabs? Stop paying all these celebrities to be in the game and stuff? Spend less money? Starting on March 19th, the company will be offering fewer V-Bucks in each paid pack and will also be adjusting the prices of its in-game passes and Fortnite crew rewards accordingly. The new values for each pack will be as follows. For $9, you get 800 V-Bucks instead of 1,000. All the way up to $90 would get you 12,500 V-Bucks and used to get 1,000 more. So basically you're getting 1,000 less V-Bucks per like $10 or whatever. So yeah, it's $1 for every 50 V-Bucks when it used to be $1 for 100 V-Bucks. Is the math right now. The Battle Pass, which previously cost 1,000 V-Bucks, will now only cost 800 V-Bucks, so they're lowering the price of the Battle Pass, but I think they're including less V-Bucks within the Battle Pass. Yeah, completing it will also only earn the player 800 V-Bucks instead of 1,000. This does at least still mean players can unlock the next Battle Pass within the rewards from the previous one. The 500 V-Bucks earned in the bonus rewards are being dropped, so no bonus V-Bucks. As for the other Battle Passes, Epic has announced the following changes. OG Pass down, Music Pass down, Lego Pass down. Everything's down, but you get less. Fortnite crew members, which is I think their subscription thing, will now only receive 800 V-Bucks as part of their monthly rewards instead of 1,000. Now that's crazy. To sign up for the subscription thing, the monthly thing, and you get less now for the same price. That's kind of nuts. Epic says players who currently have existing V-Bucks gift cards will still get the values printed on them when they're redeemed. Last month, Epic Games announced that PC players spent $1.16 billion on the Epic Games Store. Estimated that Epic Games generated $6.21 billion in gross revenue last year overall. So why do they need help? However, General Manager Steve Allison recently told Polygon that the Epic Games Store was only marginally profitable due to a low profit margin on third-party games and the fees paid to developers and publishers for its weekly free game title. It's just so many weird decisions. Just don't do the other things that cost more money. I don't get it. I mean, I don't play Fortnite, so it doesn't affect me that much. But I know there's a lot of people that do play Fortnite that will be kind of annoyed. So that's unfortunate. We'll do this one next. Next up, games with loot boxes will get a higher I guess, is it a higher rating? A different standard rating? Because they are loot boxes. Chris Cullen, VGC. All games with loot boxes in them will be rated minimum PEGI 16 starting this summer. The European Games Rating Boards announced today that starting in June, it will be introducing a number of minimum age ratings for games with certain interactive risk features. Games with paid random items, generally described as loot boxes, will have a default rating of PEGI 16, meaning they can't legally be sold to children 15 or under in the UK or any other European country which has adopted PEGI ratings to its legislation. In some cases, they can be PEGI 18, but doesn't specify the condition that triggers it. So this is cool. I like this. It goes into like the details of the ratings and stuff like that, but it makes a lot of sense because you don't want kids gambling. You don't want kids gambling, and already they're cracking down hard on loot boxes in general as gambling. So this is cool. Hopefully, we see something like this on our side of the pond. Next up, we're gonna talk a little bit about Jeff Kaplan. This is gonna be like the last big story, and then we'll do the dev dub, and then we're out of here. So Jeff Kaplan, I don't know if anyone knows, former director of Overwatch, Chris Cullen, BGC. He talks about his time at Blizzard. The biggest fuck you moment in my career, former Overwatch director Jeff Kaplan reveals why he left Blizzard. Kaplan left the company in April 2021 after 19 years working there while Overwatch 2 was still in development. Now in a lengthy interview with Lex Friedman, Kaplan has revealed that exact moment that broke him and convinced him to quit. And if anyone knows Blizzard, none of this will be surprising. According to Kaplan, the introduction of the Overwatch League, a global esports league for the game made up of permanent city-based teams like a professional US sport, was a huge drain on resources and affected the development of Overwatch 2, but it was an ultimatum made to him by Blizzard's CFO that made him resign. He says, in 2016 and 2017, I felt very in control of the Overwatch team and of the game as a director. Working with Ray Gresco as the production director, it felt like we were running Overwatch, and we were very, very successful and doing a good job, and I think the fans were happy. I agree. And then as we transitioned, Overwatch League was the best intention. My parents always said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That was the Overwatch League. Oh, and it ended up being an albatross. And then Overwatch 2 was the same thing. And what ultimately broke me in my Blizzard career was I got called into the CFO's office. And he sits me down and he says, he gives me a date, which at the time was 2020 and was going to slip to 2021. But at the time it was 2020. And he said, Overwatch has to make a specific amount in 2020. And then every year after that, it needs a recurring revenue of this amount, of X amount. And then he says to me, if it doesn't do this amount, we're going to lay off 1,000 people and that's going to be on you. Oh my God. And that was just the biggest FU moment I had in my career. It felt surreal to be in that condition. As somebody who's worked on a lot of games, made a lot of games, you get in these meetings where they're like, Fortnite has 1,400 people working on it. If you just hire 1,400 people, make it free to play, we'll make that money, right? I had believed I would never work at any place but Blizzard. I loved it. It was a part of who I was, and I felt I was a part of it. And I literally thought I would retire from the place. I never thought the day would come. And that was it. I was like, we're done here. Luckily for Blizzard, that CFO is no longer there. What a surprise. Early in the discussion, Kaplan explained why the Overwatch League, which ran from 2018 to 2024, started off as a good idea that he backed, but ended up growing far too complicated due to the over-marketing, ultimately affecting the quality of Overwatch 2. We had a coalition on the team that really wanted Overwatch 2 built instead of the live events. And then the executive pressure became monumental. And what would have been correct was to do more world events, keep it going, but the major derail was Overwatch League. The weirdest part about Overwatch League is I believe in it. I helped pitch it along with some other people. We thought it was the future of esports and doing regional-based teams, ensuring minimum player salaries and player protections. There was a lot of very good about Overwatch League. The team's part of the dream was more like regional-based player protection, yada yada yada. Where it got away from us was there was a lot of excitement about Overwatch League, like too much so. And then it got over-marketed to the people buying the teams. They went on this road show where they had a deck and you could put anything in a deck and sell anything. They were pretty much selling the Brooklyn Bridge that Overwatch League was going to be more popular than the NFL. That's crazy. What a crazy idea. And we got a bunch of billionaire investors in these teams. And when 2018 started, for example, the day got back and said, we've signed this huge deal with Twitch for streaming of Overwatch League, like a media rights deal. And that means here's all these commitments we made for Overwatch League. I don't think Twitch even does that anymore, does it? In-game stuff that exists. All your plans at that point go out the window. You're not going to work on new world events. You're not even really focused on Overwatch 2. You're just kind of treading water. It was a great idea that the wrong instincts, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that's not damning, but there was too much focus on let's make lots of money really fast, and a lot of people got dragged into it. Oof. And he goes on to talk more about that in Overwatch 2. Oh my god. But on the upside, though, he did also reveal a new game he's working on. Chris Scully VGC. Former Overwatch League director reveals that The Legend of California, open world online Wild West FPS. I saw a little bit of this. We can watch the trailer. So he also revealed this game. The Wild West. Horses, castles? Question mark? Huh? Pew 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 pew. Legend of California. Pew pew pew. More pews. It's very loud. That's my bad, gamers. It's just a lot of people sitting around. And then shooting. Don't really show what the game's about. It seems to just be looting and shooting. It seems to be all it is. That was pretty cool. Throwing that axe is pretty cool. Oh, you could mine? That means no, XB's gonna play it. Chop wood? Okay. Build houses? Sure. The Legend of California. Wishlist now. Cool. So it seems like a very interesting game. Something different. Something different for you gamers out there. Very Red Dead, but way less story. What is it again? It's a just an open world online play with your friends. Explore, gather, craft, build, hunt, and fight your way across the vast untamed frontier of the game description team. Whether you choose to travel alone or work together with friends, your mission is mythical. I guess it's just like a kind of like a 7 days, but in the West. Depending, hey, if it's free to play, I'll try it. All right, and we're gonna hit the dev dub, and then that's gonna be it for today. Again, like I said, it's been a couple weeks, and there's a lot of stories, so we're only gonna do the big stuff today, plus the dev dub, and we'll catch up on all the small news and everything else. The next time we'll start sprinkling everything in. So the dev dub for this week, or for this time, this casual gaming news, and I don't know if there's a follow-up to this. I haven't seen one, but apparently Nintendo is suing the Trump administration. This was about a week ago. So Nintendo is suing the U.S. government over the tariffs enacted by the Trump administration that the U.S. Supreme Court later deemed unconstitutional. Huh. News of the tariffs this time last year, announced shortly before pre-orders went live for Nintendo Switch 2, sent Japanese game stocks plummeting, and ultimately led Nintendo to make the unprecedented decision to delay the Switch 2 pre-orders in the States on account of evolving market conditions. It additionally raised the cost of Switch 2 accessories in the US due to tariffs, and some US retailers were reportedly spooked into canceling pre-orders ahead of the console's launch. Wow. Now, according to Aftermath, Nintendo of America has lodged a complaint in the U.S. Court of International Trade on Friday, the 6th, demanding refunds for the previously imposed tariffs, thought to collectively amount to more than $200 billion across all countries. Woo! This action concerns defendants' initiation and administration of unlawful trade measures that have, to date, resulted in the collection of more than $200 billion tariffs on imports from nearly all countries. Nintendo has standing to sue because it is the importer of record for goods that were subject to IEEPA duties, stressing they are seeking both a refund and any interest owed, claiming that it suffered injury as a result of the IEEPA duties. So this is pretty cool. Whether or not anything will come of this remains to be seen. But when Nintendo decides to start suing people, they very rarely back off. You know, and it's very interesting that this happened because I think a couple days after, I forget how long after. It wasn't very long after that the current administration decided to use. What a coincidence! They decided to use Wii Sports in some of their war propaganda videos. All of a sudden, So I wonder if there was any connection there. I wonder if there's any connection there. Trying to say F you Nintendo, who knows? Because that was a crazy video. So dev dub goes to Nintendo for hopefully bringing the era of crazy tariffs to an end. And that's this week's dev dub. That's it for this week. Again, like I said, we'll catch up with a lot of the other stories. We got about a dozen other stories we got to catch up with. So we'll get there, but they're smaller stories. Check out the links in the chat. But that's gonna be it for this week. Casual Gaming News. Thanks everyone that hung out, chatted live. You guys are great. Anyone that watches the video on YouTube or hits the YouTube buttons as you would, you guys are great too. And I'll see you guys next time.